I am Ibrahim Traore, and today I'm pulling off your masks.
Threatens to destroy my country, the State of Israel.
The deadline came. The world watched. And Netanyahu did nothing. For 72 hours, silence echoed from Tel Aviv. No response. No statement. Just a wall of defiance, as if Ibrahim Traore's words meant nothing. But what happened after that silence wasn't expected by anyone, not by the media, not by the diplomats, and certainly not by Netanyahu. Because the moment that clock ran out, Traore moved. And what he did didn't just send a message. It changed the conversation across every capital on earth. Let's rewind. 72 hours earlier, during a historic summit in Nairobi, President Ibrahim Traore stood before a coalition of African and non-aligned nations. He spoke without hesitation and delivered a deadline directly to Israel's prime minister within 72 hours. You will issue a formal recognition of Africa's sovereignty over its own alliances, or we will begin the process of decoupling. From every institution that enables your violence, it wasn't just about Gaza, it wasn't about one conflict. It was about something much bigger. Respect, autonomy, and the end of Africa being treated as disposable on the world stage. But Netanyahu didn't flinch. He dismissed the warning. Israeli state media called it symbolic posturing. Western outlets barely mentioned it. And so the hours passed. The deadline neared, and Traore stayed quiet until the final moment. At exactly midnight GMT, broadcast lit up from Ouagadougou. No anthem, no fanfare, just a stark black screen. And then Traore in full uniform. Behind a single microphone, his voice was calm, controlled. Since our calls have been ignored, he said we will no longer participate in silence. And then he made 3 declarations, each more shocking than the last. First, he announced the immediate suspension of all Israeli business interests in Burkina Faso, banks, telecom deals, defense contracts, all frozen. Second, declared a continental summit for 15 African nations to draft a new alliance, one that would no longer accept pressure from former colonial states or their allies. And third, he called on African nations with Israeli embassies to reconsider their diplomatic presence, not with war, but with principle. No nation has the right to ignore the voice of a continent, Traore said. Our deadline was not a threat, it was a mirror, and now the world must look. The broadcast ended, and the shockwaves began. By morning, 3 countries, Chad, Mali, and Guinea, had recalled their ambassadors to Israel. 2 others halted. Israeli infrastructure deals. South Africa released a statement supporting Traore's courage and clarity. But what really caught global attention is what happened next in the streets. From Dakar to Dar es Salaam, young people flooded into city centers, waving flags, chanting Traore's name, holding signs that read, "Africa will not be silenced." Our deadline, our dignity. Respect is non-negotiable. Netanyahu's government scrambled. An urgent security meeting was held in Jerusalem. No cameras, no press, but leaks came anyway. A voice recording allegedly from a closed door session caught Netanyahu saying, "We underestimated him. This isn't just Burkina Faso anymore, this is a movement." And while some Western leaders stayed quiet, others didn't. France's foreign ministry urged restraint. The EU called for dialogue, but none directly criticized Traore. It's not this time. Because now, the fear wasn't just diplomatic friction. It was momentum. Traore had set something in motion, a new kind of leadership, one that doesn't beg for inclusion, one that demands respect. And the question haunting Netanyahu now isn't just, what happens next? How much bigger will this get? And how fast? Because when deadlines are ignored, the world doesn't go back to normal. It moves forward without you. Before you go, do you think Netanyahu underestimated Traore? And what would you have done in Traore's place? Let us know in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Is this the beginning of a new global shift? If you felt the tension, hit that like button. Subscribe for more. Real, raw breakdowns of the moments the world won't forget. This isn't just politics. This is history in motion.